We're back and we're going to Paul Lane on line 2, Liberal MHA from Mount Pearl South. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, Pete. How are you doing today?
Not bad at all. As a former member of the PC party, how do you read this count situation that they went through after the second ballot? Can I ask you that before we get to whatever you want to call about?
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, Pete, it's, it's not something I really thought about a big lot, I suppose, because I'm not involved and I'm concentrating on on Dwight Ball and our party, but, I found it a little confusing. I'll put it that way. I guess like most people did, and I thought that the majority would be the majority. If you had the extra vote, then that would have been it. But anyway, a decision was made. They went with the decision, and we all know how it unfolded. So
yep.
I guess that's up to the PCs to determine, how they move forward and to reconcile with everyone over how that all went, I guess.
Well, I think the way, given the general rules as we understand them and that are typical, it went the way it was supposed to. God help them if it had gone the other way in the third ballot, because I think a lot of people would have a pretty big issue with that. But in any case, that's not why you called. What's on your mind today?
Yeah, I wanted to take you up on the invitation from last week to discuss motor vehicle accidents again. Because, as we sort of touched on last week, we had a fire chief come out last week in the Whitburn area talking about a number of horrific accidents and so on that he had to attend. We have a RCMP officer, I believe, on the West Coast was injured in a moose vehicle collision, and we had an individual on a motorcycle who passed away, I believe, as a result of a moose vehicle collision. And that was just last week. And we continue to hear this on an ongoing basis. And so, I think it's time for government to take the issue certainly more seriously than they appear to be taking it. One of the things in the House of Assembly, the last session during the spring, and I can't tell you exactly when it was, but I'm going to say like in, say, May month or whatever, the Minister of Transportation was questioned as it related to this study that was supposed to be done, because this fencing and these sensors and so on were supposed to be a pilot project. And, we were asked, like, have you got the results? When will the results? And the minister indicated, I believe, that they had the pilot project completed and so on, and we would be hearing of the results soon. Now, I'm not sure what the definition of soon is, but I know the House has been closed for quite some time, and we're now into the middle of September, and I haven't heard of the results of this study, and more importantly, not just the results of the pilot project, but what the action plan is as we move forward, because we've had simply too much carnage occurring on our highways, and something seriously has to be done.
Yeah, no, I think an awful lot of people are of like mind who think that it's well past time for some extra decisions to be made. I mean, so much talk has gone around and so much has happened in between, of course. Some very bad things to some good people. It doesn't matter if they're good or not, I suppose. But we need to start making some decisions and trying other things, no question about it.
Yeah, I agree, Pete. Like, and for one of the things that in my view needs to happen is those sensors, which have never worked from day one, I believe that they're only creating a public safety hazard by even having them there, not working, because I believe it, is a false sense of security. So if they've been down now for months and months and not working, they're not operational, then I think it's just as well to remove them altogether. Now, I don't know at the time if there was any kind of guarantees or warranties or whatever, and if there's any opportunity to get our money back or not. Certainly, if there is, then we should pursue that. But if not, in any case, I think they need to go, because I think they're creating a false sense of security. I think we need to be more aggressive as it relates to the cutting of brush along our highways. Part of the pilot project was the fencing. And, I know there was fencing put out around between, I think, Stephenville, Port-aux-Basque area. And so, we'd like to know how that's working. From my understanding, it's working well, and I know it's been done in New Brunswick. It's working well there, apparently. So, let us know. Is it working? Is it something we should continue on with, maybe in some of the hot spots with this fencing? I mean, I'm not foolhardy enough to believe that that we can do it all at once, and I certainly don't believe the good people with SOPAC and so on believe that either. I think it's something that could be implemented over time, so much at a time. But if the fencing is working and it's going to save lives, then, we should be, each year perhaps considering budgeting so much money to do so many kilometers per year, certainly in the more dangerous areas. I think we should be looking at perhaps some better signage. I think we should perhaps be looking at, giving some consideration. By the way, I'm not suggesting that we have individuals, as has been suggested by some, out there with guns during moose hunting season shooting moose on the side of the road. I think that would be a disaster in the making, and I'm not supporting that. But if we have wildlife officers, perhaps with tranquilizers and so on, even in the times, because when the moose are prevalent, because it's really only that month or so in the spring when the yearlings are being driven away that we tend to have the biggest issues and the most carnage. So even if we put some additional resources in place, even during that period of a month or 6 weeks or whatever, and if there was problems with moose lurking around in a particular area, to have the resources perhaps available to tranquilize it or whatever had to be done by a qualified officer, of course, to remove it. And I'm not saying that is the answer. We would have to certainly look into that, but these are things that need to be looked at in a serious way, I think, and once they're looked at, if it's determined that it's not going to work or it's just cost prohibitive or whatever, then tell the people. Let the people know these are the things we've looked at. These are the conclusions to which we've come, and let the people know, and the people can judge for themselves whether they're satisfied with that or not. But when you simply, don't do anything, or you appear to do nothing, and you don't let people know what you're doing or what you've tried or what you're thinking about doing, then people feel like you're doing nothing.
Yeah, so, there are a variety of things. It's probably not one thing, but we have to be trying things, and like I say, a variety of things, and I don't know what the answer is, but at least make the effort. And you're right, especially at that time of year, I think we need a big campaign to just create more awareness that it is a very tricky and dangerous time. These yearlings are out there, and we have to be extra careful and perhaps take some extra steps. Mr. Lane, we got to go to our break. We're well past time for news.
Yeah, Pete, thank you for your time. The only other point I would make is that I know in some federal national parks, that in some national parks across the country, that the feds have wildlife fencing. So another thing is I'm not sure why we wouldn't be lobbying for Terranova and Grossmorn and so on, lobbying the federal government to do something in terms of fencing.
Hear, hear. All right, sounds good. Thank you, sir. Right. We'll pick it up again next time.
Have a good day.
Appreciate your points.
Yeah, great talking to you. Right, okay, bye.
Bye-bye.